Excuse me. Well, that was bad timing, huh? Hello. So, been a minute. Been busy with work, obviously. So, got a little time to myself today. Yeah, correction. I took a little time for myself today. So, went and visited a friend and recently left the sober house. And I picked him up, took him to breakfast, which a random customer in the restaurant we went to decided to pay for everyone's breakfast this morning. Cool. Bonus. Free food. Um, But he got in the car, and the first thing he said to me is, "Well, I relapsed." I said, "Oh." He said, "Yeah, I figure I'd just get it out the way right now." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate the accountability." So what happened? He admitted reservations, you know, was part of it. And the other part of it was self-will run riot. And that happens to a lot of us. We get in these situations where we no longer have to report or be accountable to somebody else. And in some ways, this is how we're childlike. We're spiteful, and I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do what I want to do, how I want to do it, when I want to do it. Blah blah blah. Go ahead. Don't come crying when the consequences come. I'm tired of that victim mentality bullshit, and I'm 100% guilty of it in my past. I still fall prey to it from time to time. We all do. But we had a good talk about it, and he admitted a lot of things, and he admitted about, essentially, and I've said it in so many videos, he realizes, at least intellectually, cognitively, I don't think he quite believes it all the way here yet, where he screwed up. And, it was a while ago, and a particular individual was singing his praises and all this other stuff, and then he had one little mishap, wasn't even a relapse or anything. And the next thing you know, this person started publicly embarrassing him, essentially. And that's kind of when the reservation took place. In his mind, it was like, well, what the fuck? Why should I even do this if people aren't going to look past my mistakes occasionally? Yada yada yada. It's a self-worth issue thing. It's an ego thing. You know. So he understands. He can track it back and knows when it started, when the seed was planted, and I'm like, okay. I told him, I said, one, don't expect me to sit here and beat you up or judge you. I said, because I ain't going to do that. I said, you've already done that to yourself. There's no point in me fucking wasting my energy. Number one. I said, and don't expect me to give you a whole lot of sympathy or pity either. You chose this, plain and simple. You know, I said, and I'm not going to sit here and beg you to be sober again. That's your choice as well. So you're a grown ass man. You made the decision to drink, fine. Make the decision to not drink. And we were talking about it, and he was explaining how, it was somewhat spiteful and this and that and the other thing. And certain things happened that triggered and all of this. And, I'm listening, and he's peeling the layers back, and that's good. And it's like I said to him, I said, well, I said, ultimately it comes down to, I said, once again, I said, you essentially self sabotage your own sobriety because you allowed somebody else's actions and or reactions dictate your sense of self-worth. You felt humiliated because you had made a mistake and this person pointed it out in front of everyone. Instead of just owning it, you allowed this person to control your emotional state, which then planted a seed, so forth and so on. I said, once again, I said, you're fighting. You're fighting yourself and you're fighting the world. I said, and that self-worth issue is, oh, I fucked up, I made a mistake, and now everybody knows, and we're all taught conditional forms of love. It's, bad means unworthy of love. Mistakes mean not good, not, mistakes mean bad. And that's wrong. Not in every situation, but, for the most part it is. But this is what happens in an addict's head. Do they know this consciously? Not right away. A lot of this is just subconscious behavior. It's taken me many, many, many years and many rehabs to dig this out. Um, so yeah, he's aware of it intellectually. So he's, I would say, standing in the doorway. Now he just has to make the choice to completely surrender to the process and to, instead of still seeking validation and love from an outside source, seek it from within. And it's like he said, he admitted, he had certain expectations from this behavior, from this person, because he looked up to them, so forth and so on. And when those expectations didn't happen, when that particular reciprocation didn't come in the way he expected it or wanted it to, oh, look, you're disappointed. Go figure. And it's like I said to him, I said, unfortunately, in my experience, anytime you put an expectation like that on an external person, place, or thing, you're always going to be disappointed. Now, that's not to say don't hold people to their word, and I by all means expect at least basic decent behavior, basic level of respect and honesty, because that's what I give. And if you can't reciprocate that, then well, okay, be on your merry little way. Bye. I don't need you. I want people in my life, but I don't need anyone in my life. Not in the craving codependency type of way. Do we all need social interaction? Yes, of course we do. It's in our DNA. We can't avoid that. You know, and it's like the example I gave him is one that I learned in my one treatment center years ago now. Do 5 random acts of kindness every day and don't tell anyone about it. I mean, obviously, if you're doing a random act of kindness to a person and they're there to witness it, that's a little different. But don't do it because you want a thank you or an accolade. And I mean, if you get it, great. Most people are at least that polite enough. But if you don't get it, don't get upset or hurt or mad because of that. Don't expect a thank you. Do it because it feels good. That's it. It's for you, not them. Just like the guy who bought everybody breakfast. He did that because he couldn't, because it made him feel good. A bunch of people in a restaurant immediately started going up to him, oh, thank you. And he's like, he was like, it's cool, just go. Sit down. Like, it was like they were, now everyone's interrupting his breakfast. Like, it's not what he wanted. You know what I mean? Like, thank you. Have a good day. I'm glad it put a smile on everyone's face. I think he even told the one waitress, I kind of heard as I was writing, he's like, you didn't have to tell anyone. He's like, that's not, and that's what I mean. That's, and I've done that on a few rare occasions when I could afford it. Or like the one restaurant last year at Christmas time, they had stockings up for all the waitresses. And I came in the one day, I didn't even eat, just came in. Talked to one of my favorite, waitresses, and I was like, "How many you got here?" And she's like, "Oh, it was like 10 of them, 10 or 11, I think. I don't remember now." And initially I was like, "Look, I want to give everyone $20 for Christmas," and she's like, "Well, we got stockings." I'm like, "All right, cool, bet." And I told her, and she's like, "Should I tell?" And I said, "No, you don't have to tell nobody. So that's not why I did it." Of course, a lot of them found out. One of them, it was 6 months later. One of the other waitresses, she's like, "Yeah, that's the guy who gave us the 20s in our stocking." She's like, "Oh, that's you, but," okay, cool. I'm glad it went to good use. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad it made your holiday season, whatever. You're able to get your kid an extra pair of socks, whatever the fuck. I don't give a shit. It is nice that I get really good prompt service now. I'm not going to deny the benefits are nice, but that's not why I did it. Um, so yeah, expectations. Got to be wary of those. And like I said, everyone has them, myself included. We all have a certain base level, you know. But when you start relying on other people to, I don't know, make you feel whole, worthy, special, loved, you should feel all those things from within first. Because then when you do get them from an external source or another person, such as a partner or whatever, um, believe it or not, they'll actually have a little more meaning and be a little more fulfilling. You know, it's funny how many people love getting attention, but when they get it at the same time, internally, they automatically assume it's for ulterior motives, or they have difficulty accepting compliments and stuff like that. Yet this is what they're constantly seeking. Well, no shit, because that's what's inside of you. You believe you're not beautiful. You believe you're not worthy. You believe you're not, you know, you're unique and nobody wants you and nobody loves you. So you constantly seek that acceptance and validation outside of yourself. You need to turn that around. Go within. Remember who and what you are and why you're here. You are a divine being having a human experience for all its ups and downs. And that's pretty much the whole purpose. Have the experiences, experience them to their fullest. Learn, add that experience to the collective conscious, and move on. Really that simple. Also really that complex too. You know. So I've had a bunch of stuff I wanted to do, and yeah, something I need to change in the very, very near future here. I need to bear down, and like I said, people always make time for what's important to them, and this needs to become important to me again. Um, it's funny. At work, I work with a couple of recovering addicts as well, and every couple of days, me and these other two individuals will end up gathering, kind of almost having like an impromptu meeting or something, and it's like I'm technically not sponsoring people, but at the same time, I am. Um, it's an interesting position to be in because I've been in that position before, and it feels nice that people come to me for advice and for wisdom because I've been through what they're going through, and I'm glad I can provide that guidance. Um, it's also somewhat intimidating. Um, puts a certain level of responsibility on me to an extent. But apparently, I'm pretty good at it, so I'm going to keep doing it. It's part of my purpose anyway. Not every light worker and earth angel is all about rainbows, unicorns, and whatever glitter farts. Matter of fact, there's a few of us out here who have horns and wings. So I'll leave that one at that. Everyone have a beautiful, blessed day, and I will be in touch soon.